Guys, lisard here. Today, I'm going to tell you another pitch, but this time it's for a movie and it's for a franchise that I'll come in a sec. So, for most of my viewers that have stuck around ever since the beginning, you might notice that my character, or avatar, looks similar to another fictional character. That is because I'm a rekiller of Agumon from Digimon. Now, for those asking, what is Digimon? And I know some people are gonna say, Lizard! Digimon is a knockoff of Pokemon! Stop ripping off knockoffs! And to those people, I say, do your research. Because Digimon is completely different from Pokemon. People always compare Digimon to Pokemon because of the name, but that's not necessarily true. If anything, Digimon is more like Dragon Ball Z in terms of story or in common. Of course, I'm talking about Digimon Adventure, the anime, so I'm not going to go into the games, which are similar but have different things or gimmicks going for them. The Digimon anime is an adventure sci-fi fantasy. So lots of the characters are stuck in a digital world with a team up with Digimon to survive and thrive and try to make it out to the real world. Whilst Pokemon is a sports anime where our main character is trying to be the very best in his league. You can see these are two different things, and thematically, Digimon is a lot darker, has more serious stories, and overall, in terms of story, I would say Digimon is the better one. Now, I'm not saying Pokemon is bad at any means, just that it's been the same for like over 25 years, and the show has been running and nothing really changed is Ash's character. However, with Digimon, Ash is literally like 20 now, and not counting the reboot, by the way. So as you can see, Digimon is a lot more serious and more story-oriented than Pokemon. So comparisons aside, I made a pitch for a Digimon movie because I always want to see one, and I know there already is one, which is a compilation of 3 short films. But I mean a live-action movie because this sounds cool. Also, some Digimon designs could work in real life. Cool to see the Digimon come to life. So I made redesigns. I made a story, and I'm gonna share with you today. We see the Digimon Defense Force. While they capture and experiment on the Digimon, they convert them into their code and use their code to make their technology and weapons. As you see in this photo, these Digimon are in cages and get zapped with tasers. It's not really humane, and it's very sad. And this is where I meet Koromon, our main character Digimon. Koromon is in a cage, trapped, along with the rest of his kind, until he finds a taser and points it next to the computer, so he can warp himself into the computer. So that's what he does. He warps himself inside. And after he did that, he makes a run for it. He tries to look for a remote location where the Digimon Defense Force hasn't breached off their firewall. They found a secure remote location, and then he escaped. The rest of the Digimon have seen this and go on the pursuit. Next, Koromon is teleported to a room where we meet our main character. Now, I don't know if our main character should be a kid or an adult, so you just decide. So then, our main character sees Koromon pop out of the screen, and he's shocked because that doesn't really happen here. Koromon explains that he is a Digimon undercover, trying to escape from the Digimon Defense Force. So then, our main character agrees and stays with our Koromon, which he keeps undercover. So then, as time goes by, more Digimon start appearing in this location after seeing what Koromon has did. And because they came out of nowhere, they scrap and scramble for the territory and where they should stay, thus making the Digimon aggressive and wanting to fight not only each other, but also just wreck the place. So then, Koromon sees this and decides to do something about it. So then, he sees a Botamon, and then he decides to try to fight him. It doesn't go too well until he digivolves into Agumon. Then the fight is even. So then he fights Betamon and wins. So then they capture him and they have to. Then they take care of him. Days gone by and more Digimon come, seeking refuge or fighting each other for territory. Eventually, champion level Digimon start to come along, like Miramon, Seadramon, and Tyrannomon. Firstly, Tyrannomon appeared, and it wrecked the place. We're talking Jurassic Park, the roaring, the stomping, the throwing tables everywhere, that type of Jurassic Park. So then, Agumon has an idea. They hide outside until Tyrannomon is distracted. He will distract Tyrannomon. Our main character would try to make a trap, or at least set a bunch of chairs to the point where he could fall and trip. So then Agumon gets Agumon tried to digivolve into Tyrannomon, but it didn't work. So then he tried to digivolve into a champion level Digimon. He turned into Greymon and fought Tyrannomon. But because they're so big, the damage they deal is quite considerably large. So Greymon tries to pull his punches so he doesn't break anything. So he tries to relocate or move the fight somewhere else, probably in the forest where nothing much will get destroyed. So then Greymon and Tyrannomon scrap a little. They fight until Tyrannomon wins with a Sovo Flame. Then, days later, at a river, there's been a Seadramon sighting. So then, Agumon and our main character go to investigate, and they find a Seadramon on the loose, attacking campers and kayakers. So then, Agumon turns into Greymon and starts fighting Seadramon. Seadramon has the terrain advantage, but Greymon has a trick up his sleeve. While Seadramon's wrapping Greymon, Greymon fires, blasts, and Greymon pulls Seadramon onto land. Then Seadramon digivolves back into a Betamon. Then, days later after that, a Miramon attacks, and Greymon beats it with ease. The days go by, and the same thing happens. A Digimon comes, Greymon's here to save the day. Until one day, there was an Airdramon. This Airdramon was a higher level than the champion levels. It was a Mega. Then, Greymon had to fight him, but he didn't stand a chance. So then he had to digivolve further and turn into Metal Greymon. So Metal Greymon attacks Airdramon and defeats him. So then, now they have pretty much all the Digimon. There's nothing bad that happened. Well, apparently, the Digimon Defense Force has found all these Digimon and is about to capture them and relocate them back. But our main character says that these Digimon, even though some of them are bad, not all of them are. And he tries to show Agumon, which is the Koromon that escaped from the facility. They immediately recognize him and start trying to capture him. Unfortunately, just as that's happening, another Digimon appears. But this Digimon is an evil Digimon. This Digimon was Devimon. And just as usual, Devimon tries to end the world. So then, Agumon makes a deal with the Digimon Defense Force. If he gets rid of Devimon with their help, then they would capture him. So then, Metal Greymon tries to fight off Devimon, but it's no use. He tries to fire his missiles. It does some considerable damage, but he needs to be a higher level to defeat him. He needs to be more powerful. So thus, with all the remaining energy he had, he tried to digivolve into the greatest of them all. He turned into War Greymon. He's never achieved this form before, and probably never will. So then, after turning into War Greymon, he tries to fight him, and it's a lot easier now. With the help of the Digimon Defense Force, they capture Devimon, and War Greymon does the final blow, which defeats him. After saving the day, then Agumon is captured along with the rest of the Digimon. But then the Digimon Defense Force saw Agumon's nobility and humility to sacrifice and save others. So then they decided to leave Agumon with our main character and hire them as ambassadors of the Digimon Defense Force. But Agumon requested that he free his Digimon brethren and not torture them no more. At first, the Digimon Defense Force was with that decision, but eventually they came around. Some Digimon were free, and they weren't. The reason being because of Agumon's decision. Also, if they didn't, Agumon would basically destroy them. So now, the Digimon Defense Force go hand in hand alongside Digimon, and thus the link between Digimon and human has been made. Although, it turns out, and thus it ends with Digimon, instead of being tortured, helping out the humans in the Digimon Defense Force. Used to make weapons, the Digimon help make weapons. And all is fine and dandy. And then we cut to a scene with Agumon and the main character sharing a snack. And the movie ends. My favorite part of the video, the design process of the realistic Digimon. Let's start with the original Digimon, Tyrannomon. Tyrannomon had to be based off Agumon, considering that their designs are very similar. So Tyrannomon would have to be designed off of Agumon and Greymon. So I basically grabbed a T-Rex, or T-Rexified Digimon, gave it the Stegosaurus spines, the iconic color scheme, and thus we got our favorite Tyrannomon, which is one of my favorite Digimons. Next up would be Agumon. Agumon is a very simple design. He's a dinosaur, but sometimes in the universe, the characters would call him a lizard, or think he's a lizard. So I decided to look at lizards like Komodo dragons and spiny-tailed iguanas. Also, Agumon's eyebrow things, like T-Rex, have been speculated. I always try to imagine what texture it is. Due to modern science, we know that T-Rex's eyebrows would have been made out of keratin and would have acted somewhat like horns or armor. So now with that updated science, what would Agumon's design look like? So I based up the Atrociraptor from Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, with a spiky texture like a snake. I thought that would look cool, but also somewhat accurate to the character. Next up would be Mamemon. Mamemon was pretty easy. He's a robot, bomb Digimon creature thing. So he wouldn't change that much. All I had to do is basically just draw more realistic boxing gloves and shiny metal. That's nothing really changes his design. Just makes the proportions shift and change. Next up is Betamon. Betamon's also one of my favorite Digimon. And also, wasn't too hard. So all I did was grab frogs, whales, and some lizards to base it off this design. Now, next up is Numemon. Numemon is a slug. It's also one of my favorites. But it also has humanoid teeth and eyes. So all I had to do is look in real life where I saw the human teeth, piranha. So with that in mind, I decided to just draw away and made Numemon. Next up is the one, the only, Greymon, who's also my favorite Digimon. Greymon is a special Digimon. He is a horned T-Rex and probably is the face of the franchise. So all I had to do was grab the T-Rex, give it a beetle horn texture thing, give it the orange stripes we know and love, and boom, Greymon's ready for action. Next is one of my favorites too, is Seadramon. I grabbed moray eels and snakes to make this design. Overall, I'm very happy for what it is. Next up, Metal Greymon. Metal Greymon, all I had to do was just grab his chest, arms, and head, and turn it into metal, and give him those leathery bug wings. This Airdramon, and all I had to do is just make the textures and proportions more realistic. Next up, and Gabumon. Gabumon, even though it looks like a dog or a tiger creature, that's actually the pelt. He's actually a lizard creature in a dog tiger's clothes. So I just did that. I just grabbed the cloth and put it on Gabumon. Boom. I hope you really liked this episode, and I hope this is a perfect send-off for now, because I'm going to be really busy lately, so I'm not going to upload videos as much as I used to. But I hope this is the perfect send-off for now. Remember, never give up, have fun, and keep creating.